What are the general or the basic information or the basic things that anyone applying for any scholarship whatsoever should first bear in mind before they start that journey?
I think is intentionality and being prepared, giving yourself that 1 year period to say that in this next 1 year I'm going to work on my communication skills, I'm going to work on my leadership skills, you identifying those gaps where you need to improve yourself.
Once you've lost the attention of your reader at the beginning, that's the end.
If you feel like you're not prepared, it's fine. You can give yourself, the next 1 year. Understand what Chevening is doing globally. It's not just about doing a lot, but it's about identifying those specific examples that would really resonate.
I'm someone who does a lot of things. I'm naturally a workaholic.
Yeah, Louis, but I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
Based on your own experience, being a Chevening alumnus, what do you think made your application strong? What do you think made your application stand out?
This is TINE Africa Podcast. The new sound of international education in Africa.
This episode is proudly supported by Chevening.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TINE Africa Podcast. This is where we talk about everything that has to do with education, international education in the continent of Africa. My name is Louis Adekola and I'm your regular host on this podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about something, no, not just me. We are going to be talking about something very important and very, very crucial to overseas education, study abroad, and the quest to actually improve your academic capacity and potential, with regards to going abroad to study. But one thing that has always remained a challenge is funding. And we know that across the continent, there has been challenge with currency devaluation, increase in tuition fees, lowering scholarship opportunities. And there's always that question of, how do I ensure that I'm able to fund my studies? Some people say that you can fund it by yourself, but some people say you can access scholarship. But the truth is that scholarship has always been a concern for many people. Some people have held on to the fact that, it's only a category of student that can access scholarship. And some people have also thought that maybe because they've tried it before, but they didn't get it then, and maybe they don't want to start again, or they don't want to do it again. So today we are going to be zeroing in on scholarships. We're going to be talking about how to fund your studies overseas, how to access global opportunities in terms of scholarships from across different continents, different countries, but with some specific references that can be very relevant to you, especially as we enter into this new recruitment cycle and of course scholarship period. As I said before, my name is Louis Adekola, but I'm not here alone today. I am here with a very, very special guest, someone that I have known for quite some time. She's been very supportive in my journey as well. She works in one of those very, very interesting organizations. And you will know when I introduce this person. The name is Boma Adebowale. She is the Chevening Program and Communications Officer. And I'm just sitting right here with her. We're going to be talking about everything about scholarship. Hi, Boma.
Hi, Louis.
I love that. Hi, Louis.
That introduction was very powerful. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but of course, the countdown of the time would not allow me to. But it's so nice to have you here.
Really happy to be here as well.
Okay, great. So, one very good way to start is, I think a lot of people know about Chevening, not just Chevening, but they know about different scholarships. We're going to talk about other scholarships as well. But people know about Chevening, they've heard about it before, they probably know someone that has won it in the past. And they know that there are some people behind the curtain or the doors that does things. Can we start with a little introduction, just furthering that introduction, a little more about who you are and what your role entail? Because I just said you're Chevening Program and Communications Officer, and people are like, what does that even mean?
Right. And, to be honest, I know you mentioned that, a lot of people know about Chevening, but it would shock you that some people do not know what Chevening is. So I think I'll just quickly give a background on information about Chevening. So Chevening is a UK government-funded scholarship. It's fully funded, totally funded, and it gives people the opportunity to study in the UK for a 1-year master's degree, which is a very rare opportunity, specifically in Nigeria. So my own role, I would say that, this period that we're in this is August, right? And most people believe that this is like the only period where Chevening is important. But for me, I would say that all around the year, Chevening is important because there's a lot, that goes behind the scenes. And for me, my role spans across marketing and promotions, which I'm really happy to be here, to talk about Chevening, to let people know about Chevening. So wherever you are in the world listening to this, Chevening is an opportunity that gives, that platform for people to grow, for them to develop their skills and their knowledge in the UK, and for them to come back to Nigeria to put into practice those things that they've learned. So back to my role. So marketing and promotions. There's also alumni engagement. So Chevening has been in Nigeria for over 40 years. So we have a large network of alumni. We have over 1,600 members, in Nigeria specifically, and globally we have over 60,000, which is a lot. Yes. So we work with these people. So that is where the alumni engagement comes in. Then aside that, there's also partnerships. We work with different universities, we work with different organizations. There's some organizations that really love what Chevening does, and they're like, oh, definitely, I want to partner with Chevening. I want to sponsor someone, who is in this particular field. So there's also partnerships, and there is the interview, which is the very the very important part of Chevening. And I would say specifically for me, there is also the communications bit. So for me, I'd say something I really like about my role is the fact that it gives me that good balance. So I'm not just doing project management for Chevening, I also handle comms. So all through the year, we run different campaigns. Now that Chevening is out, the applications are out, we're working on different campaigns, ensuring that both digitally and traditionally, people are hearing about Chevening. And I'll say that a major milestone, because all through the year, we're always working on Chevening. And for me, a major milestone, which you were involved in, is the Chevening at 40. Remember?
Yes. That was fun. That was fun. I
it was
really loved that
fun.
event.
Yeah. So Chevening at 40 was a really good milestone, and for the fact that Chevening clocked 40 globally, and also for the fact that it brought alumni members together, it was really good. But I'd say that above every two, be part of people's success stories. Every year I meet different people across different sectors doing amazing in their fields. And me being part of that success story, me being part of that journey is really rewarding to me.
Thank you. That was very robust. And I love that you delved into a lot of different things, beyond yourself and the work you do, but also delving into your favorite things, like the things you love about the job, and of course with the milestones that you've mentioned. I think that is just very ideal to also, at this point, I'll just share it just a little bit more about myself, because the conversation we're having is just to be able to, like I said, zero in and ensure that people are getting the most out of this episode. I was a Chevening scholar, and but I'm not just going to be sharing my experience alone here. I'm going to also be drawing from some of my friends who were Commonwealth scholar, who were MasterCard scholar, who were many other, like Erasmus, for example. And I think it's one of those things that I would like people to also take away from this episode, that yes, Chevening is is really an amazing platform, and I would really love for as many people to. I wish I wish you have enough funding to take a lot of people, but it's also very important for people to know that the cycle that we are in now, the time that we're in is when various scholarships are opening, and they need to really be aware of those various ones. For example, from America, there is the Fulbright scholarship, there is the Erasmus for Europe, there is there is MasterCard, of course, across different countries. So it's just very, very important to start from there. So now we've talked about your role, and just before we go into maybe a bit more specific on Chevening, I would like you to start, with what are the general or the basic information or the basic things that anyone applying for any scholarship whatsoever should first bear in mind before they start that journey?
Before they start that journey, I think is intentionality and, being prepared. And I would say that, aside Chevening, for every other scholarship as well, there is this drive to say that, oh, I want to study abroad, or, I want to improve my skills, I want to improve my knowledge. But you have to be intentional about it, and you have to be prepared. And something I always tell people, if you feel like you're not prepared, it's fine. You can give yourself, the next 1 year. If it's that, one of the core values of that specific scholarship program is sort of, for instance, for Chevening, the major things we look out for: leadership, networking, your career plan, your study in the UK plan. So all of these things, giving yourself that 1 year period to say that in this next 1 year, I'm going to work on my communication skills. I'm going to work on my leadership skills. You identifying those gaps where you need to improve yourself. And if it's about networking, if you've not been going for enough events, or if you've not been making impact in your community, and you know that that's what you really want to do. So giving yourself that time, to improve your knowledge and to be better refined and better prepared when the applications are ready, instead of just wasting time, and putting in your applications. Then I would also say that, in terms of having the right people around you. So here we have Louis, who is a Chevening alumnus. Right? Yeah. So regardless of the application that you want to apply for, I would say that try to have the right, people around you, the people that have gone ahead of you. So the alumni network, as I said, is over 1,600 people, right? There's so many of these people on LinkedIn that you can easily connect to. So these are some of the, examples generally. Then for Chevening specifically,
we'll come to Chevening specifically, if that's okay. But I really love what you said about, intentionality and that preparedness that you need to have before you even launch out to say, I'm submitting an application for this scholarship. Because what I've realized, in my journey, apart from the fact that I've applied myself, I didn't apply to too many scholarships, because I was just like,
it's Chevening or nothing.
Chevening or nothing, But I think I got some other scholarships at the time, and some that I had to turn down. Yes, I had to turn some down.
That's good to hear. Good to hear
right.
that.
But the truth is that you would, after then I've gone on to supporting, a lot of people who are applying for scholarships, who are looking for opportunities. And I realized that a lot of people don't do enough research. They don't do enough research because, I'm just trying to now insert research into that intentionality and preparedness, right? Between that moment of you being intentional about, applying for scholarship, there is that moment of intensive research that you need to do. You need to understand the different types of scholarships that are there. I started off by mentioning a few options, and of course there are the ones that are specific for Africans. There are some that are specific for women. There are some that are specific for people in law. There are some that are specific for schools. So I used to say that there are different types of scholarships or kinds. There is, of course, the full scholarship. There is the partial scholarships. There are the internal ones with institutions. There are the external ones, like yours, all these other ones. But there are also scholarships that are academic based. You need to have 2-1 and above, for the sake of probably those who are listening from other places are not used to 2-1, is the second class upper, or like the merits and distinction, like and above, right? Before you can apply. An example, I think, is like Commonwealth. You need to be referred to be able to recommended for that scholarship, for example. But there are also, like you said, Chevening that is very heavy on leadership, on potential for impact, and those are some of the things that people should also be aware.
Yeah. I just wanted to add to what you mentioned. So yes, there is Chevening, and there is these other scholarships that you've mentioned. But I would say that there are some scholarships that are very, if I'm allowed to use that word, coded, especially with universities. So you would not really see them, release like a press release or maybe on their social media, but they are just somewhere deep in their website, right? So that research you mentioned, very important. Sometimes some of these scholarships only caters to maybe about 2 or 3 people. And again, they are very competitive, but those opportunities are there. So you have to be intentional, you have to do your research from school to school, understanding what, that school's priority is. Because, different schools have different subject areas that they're really good at. It's possible that there's even an alumni, that wants to sponsor a particular student that year. So it might not even be an annual thing. It might be just, that 1 year. So being very intentional and doing your research every year, knowing that what happened last year might not happen this year.
Sure.
Just you being aware of what's going on around you, basically.
Yeah.
It's very important.
And you said that perfectly. I work in an institution, and I know this. There are some scholarships that we publish on the website, but there are some that, it happens because there's a funder, there's a new funder that now that has come into the picture, and then the scholarship opens in the course of the year, and then it's an email and that's the thing about emailing as well. People need to also check emails when they've applied to institutions or to other for this kind of information. Now, let's go in quickly. I know you wanted to talk about Chevening earlier, but I still want to ask you on a general for what makes a strong application. What would you, and now you can begin to draw on your experience with Chevening. What would you say makes a strong scholarship application? What are the components?
Okay, so I think I'd like to give a brief introduction, right? Or I would say context. And that's because, for instance, for Chevening, last year, globally, we received over 90,000 applications, which is a lot, right? And in Nigeria specifically, over 7,000 applications, which is a lot compared to the number of people that, eventually get chosen for Chevening. And the reason why I'm saying this is because more than ever before, it's now very important that you put in a strong application, as you said, in order to stand out, in order to even make it to the, to the interview stage, because for Chevening, there are like 4 stages, right? So before you even get to the interview stage, from the time of your application, it's very important, for you to be intentional. So number 1 tip I would say is being a good storyteller is very key. So yes, it's good to have all the skills, the experiences, but, we have people that are reading your applications, and these people are busy. One person can read, tons of application, which means that for you to, to be able to progress to the next stage, you have to write something very memorable, ensuring that you're able to tell us who you are, what you're doing, and what drives you. And, just leaving something memorable. So whoever picks up your application is able to say, oh, I remember that application, it stood out to me. So being a good storyteller is very important. Then the second thing I would say is that with Chevening, in as much as we're looking for people that have good academic backgrounds, and I believe that this cuts across to, other scholarships as well. Having good grades is good, but you just saying that I'm a leader, I'm a good communicator, it's not enough. Like, you have to show it. So ensuring that your application is very is very evidence-based. So using an evidence-based approach while you're writing your application, telling us the why. Do you understand? Ensuring that you're able to prove to anybody that picks up your application that this application is good enough. And this year, to surprise you, the number of words for each essay question has now been cut down to 300.
300 words.
So before you had to write and write. And one of the reasons why, it was cut down is because we realized that sometimes people are just being vague, using big words, and, sometimes people ramble. So now you have only 300 words. So again, back
Choose
to what
your
I
words
said.
wisely.
Like, maximize those 300 words.
Yeah.
Using evidence, right? Then the third thing I'd like to say is, ensuring that there is synergy in your work experience and in your skills. So like your past experience, your present role, and even your future goals, ensuring that there is synergy, amongst those three things.
Yeah.
And ensuring that you understand what Chevening is doing globally, what Chevening is doing in Nigeria, what UK in Nigeria's priorities are. And for you to know about some of these things, follow our social media pages on UK in Nigeria. Ensure you go through the Chevening websites. And I strongly believe that, with these tips as well, they apply to other scholarships.
Yeah.
Ensuring you do all of this. And I think finally, I would say is, which we always talk about, the STAR approach, right? Ensuring that your answers are structured is key. So STAR approach, situation, task, action, and result. And in addition to that, there's also another one called the CAL framework. So context, action, result, and learning. So for some people, I'm just like, you can use the STAR approach, but also in addition to what you're doing, ensure you include lessons learned. So putting all of that together helps your answers to be structured, and it makes it a strong application. I mean, I can go on and on, but these are just some tips.
I think those are really important tips, and it really, is now coming down from where we talked when we started off with the intentionality, with the research, with the preparation as well. Being prepared. And now we're talking, and I love what you've said, especially with the synergy, synergy in terms of what is your background? What are you coming with? What do you want to do now? And what do you want to do in the future?
Yeah.
That synergy needs to be there. And I usually advise people who are applying for scholarships like Chevening or MasterCard or even the Swedish Institute, for example, that they need to write those different type of essays. I would say, if you find different essays, make sure there is a synergy within those essays. Don't treat those different essays as though they are different essays. You have to treat them as parts of a single story, right? So I think that what you said about synergy is really important, not only about, the journey, but also in the story that you're telling.
Yeah, Louis, but I have a question for you.
Yes, please.
So if we can just take a step back and try to switch positions. So based on your own experience, I mean, being a Chevening alumnus, what do you think made your application strong? What do you think made your application stand out? Just one thing, if you can remember. I mean, I know that you're now an OG.
I am an OG, but the funny thing is I was reading my essay again in preparation for this episode. But not just that, but I was actually reading, it was just like 2 weeks ago or last week, and I was reading my essay again, also because I tried to go back to it to check the career plan that I wrote in the essay to still see if I'm still there. But the truth is that some of the things I wrote in that career part is now mundane. I've done some of the things I said I want to do in 5 years. I've done them in 2 years. Amazing. And some of them are now like really mundane because I'm like, no, I can't do it. I've passed this level now. You get what I mean? But just to give a little context as well, because oftentimes when people say, oh, I'm a Chevening alum, or I got Commonwealth, or I was a Fulbright scholar and all of that, people don't also understand the journey that those people have had. My first application to Chevening was in 2013.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
And I got it in 2019.
Whoa.
Right. So I didn't actually get it the first year I applied. And I want people to know the truth is that some people need to apply multiple times, not just for Chevening, for other scholarships before they get in. Some people can apply once and they get in. I know someone that in 2016, I met the person, I'd known the person before, but they graduated in 2016. And I said, oh, I'm trying Chevening. Would you want to go for it? And the person said, oh, I've not even picked a course yet. I'm like, let's pick it together. The person applied 2017, got in, graduated 2018.
And there you were.
know, and there was, I didn't even submit the application that particular year. You see how, so, but I think that, that different people have different journeys when it comes to this kind of things. Now, back to your question about what made my application strong.
Yeah.
And I gave that context because I learned that over the time. I would say that, it's a culmination of all these different things. I'm someone who does a lot of things. I'm naturally a workaholic. I do a lot of things. I carry on a lot of projects from time to time. I do a lot of events. I engage in a lot of things, and I've always been doing that. So even by the time I was applying for my first Chevening application in 2013, I had so many stories to tell. I had a lot of things. I could talk about how I started volunteering at 10. I could talk about my engagement with SAIF. I could talk about the organization. At that time, I was running my organization, Ambassadors of Africa, and I had teams at that time in like 6 countries. Do you understand? And I was like in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Now, the challenge I had was I wasn't able to pick the right stories to tell and deepen those stories. So I was all over the place. I wanted to show that I have numbers and figures. I wanted to show in my essay that I had done so many things. But after my first 2 rounds, I'm like, let me take some time. Let me breathe. Allow the people to breathe. I was allowing myself to breathe, and I was like, okay, I took up a new job, went away 2 or 3 times. I didn't apply again. But at that time, I now learned, the power of research and deepening stories. So by the time I came back and applied the first time again in 2017 for the 18 set, then 18 for the 19. So I didn't get the 17, the 18. It's a bit dramatic, because
I totally understand. I do.
You're applying the year before.
Yeah.
So when I applied 17 for the 2018 set, I didn't get in. But by the time I was applying in the 18 set, going into in 2018 for the 2019 set, I was able to pick just 2 stories. Then we had 500 words, right? Pick 2 of my stories that I felt resonated with me. I could talk about them. I could summarize them in a way that you still feel the emotion behind the work that I did, and I was able to tell that story, deepen that story. And I think that was for me one major thing that I learned, being able to deepen my story in a way that whoever is reading it can feel the emotion, and not just bombarding it with stories and figures and facts and stuff.
I really love this thing you said, because sometimes some people come around and they're like, but I'm doing a lot, so why am I not being chosen for Chevening? So sometimes I feel like this is a lesson for people to learn that it's not just about doing a lot, but it's about identifying those specific examples that would really resonate with the people that reading your application.
I think at this point it's also very ideal to say to those who are probably still in universities or in polytechnics or wherever they are, to have good grades. Because even if you're applying for scholarships that are not based on you have to have a distinction or first class or anything, having a good grade as a way of improving your confidence level. You just feel like, I can get this. That assurance is there. It's not like you're having palpitations over, will they pick me, will they not? I know that Chevening, as I know people who have tutu who have gotten Chevening. I don't know if that is still the case now. Do you want to respond to that before I carry on and start giving it for?
So for that, I would say it depends for people that have tutu. And I'm saying that it depends because, first of all, you should have secured admission from your university.
Yeah.
But again, in as much as we're looking for people with good grades, we're also looking for the quality of, how good is the quality of your work. So even though you finished with a 2-2, our preference will be definitely first class and, 2-1. But what is the quality of your work? You finished with a 2-2. How much impact are you making? And how are you able to demonstrate that in your application? Yeah, so that's it.
I think that just makes absolute sense, like I said. But for those who are still in uni, it's very important to prioritize good grades, but for those who have graduated or still back on those who are still in school, get involved in activities as well, get involved in community impact, build yourself as a leader, very, very importantly. And for those who have graduated as well, I think it's important to just further that journey, improve your skill, improve your capacity, and all that. Now, as we're beginning to round off, right, I want to ask some questions around common mistakes.
Right.
We've talked about what makes an application strong. But in your opinion, what are some of the common mistakes that people applying for scholarships make that you think are avoidable?
So I think I touched base on some of them, but I'll just say some of them again. So first is being vague. So, as you said, that there were many examples that you were given. So it's possible that you're vague and you're just rambling, you're all over the place. So as Louis said before, it's very important that you're able to identify specific ones that, will help you, that will showcase what you really do and what you really are. And, be your authentic self, right? Also being verbose, because it's possible that you're just using big grammar. Please forget it. Drop it to the side.
Drop it to the side.
Drop it. Just use very simple words, readable words that anyone that picks up your application would understand. So that's another thing. Another thing I'd say is that, we all know that we have AI tools now, so everybody just goes into ChatGPT, copy and paste the questions. But the problem with that is that, it lacks human tone, and ChatGPT does not know what you've done. Do you understand? So ensuring that you are not making use of AI tools, ensuring that you're very authentic in what you're doing. And plagiarism is another one. I mean, all these years, Chevening has always had a plagiarism software, but this year, Chevening is back and better, and we've upgraded, some of our software.
Next level thing.
I'm telling you. So you don't want to, be found in that mistake. Then another one I would say is when you do not balance well between using I and we. So, there's some people who say that, you have to show that you're a team player. Yes, show that you're a team player. But at the same time, you also have to be specific on the roles that you played. If it's a project that you're working on, really show that these are the things that I did on this project, to make it a success. And these are the people that I worked with. So ensuring that there is a balance between using I and we as you're putting in your application. Then something else I would say is that being able to do not downplay your achievements. And I feel like that's really common in Nigeria. We're very humble. We're like, I didn't really do much. You did much. You led the project. So say it, blow your trumpet. Right? So don't make that mistake of, being modest. I would say that. Then another mistake I would say is applying on the last day. This is so real because, as I said, last year we had over 90,000 applications. So you're competing with people across the world. Chevening is open in over 160 countries and territories. So these are the people we are competing with. Imagine if a percentage of those people apply on the last day. Most of the time, there's always a glitch on that last day. So if you do not apply before the last day and you're unable to submit, that is your cup of tea. So avoid.
It's not any village. It's not any village people that is after your life.
I'm
it's you that
telling you.
didn't do what you're supposed to do on time.
Yeah, so I think those are like the common mistakes that I would say. Okay, and there's also typos and grammatical errors. There's sometimes that when you've written an read something over and over again, there is this tendency for you to miss, some of the words that you've written incorrectly. So it's very important that you get people to proofread, proofread what you've written. And again, as I mentioned earlier, having the right people around you, ensuring that you're networking with the alumni, alumni community. So after you finished writing, ensure that you look for professionals. It can be alumni. It can be other people from other scholarship schemes that can help you, proofread your application. Yeah, off the top of my head, these are some.
These are very, very well said points, especially with regards to the mistakes that people make. And I like how we are saying all this now, using Chevening as a reference, but because it applies to different type of scholarships, especially the ones that you need to fill and submit the application yourself. Sometimes it's just one box that they give you, 300 words. Why should you be selected for this scholarship? That's all. And there's sometimes that you have multiple, like lots of essays to write. And I think it applies to everything, because if you are clear on what you're saying, like you said, a lot of people are very verbose, like they just, throwing in those words. And people use jargons as well. You know the acronym to what you've done or the people you partner with. But whoever is reading your essay doesn't know what it means. And then it really affects how they understand. And if the person reading your application is not understanding what you're saying, then, you're already shooting yourself in the leg.
Please, I want to mention one of them.
Mention it.
So I know that some people like to throw in quotes in their... I'm not saying it's bad, right?
Yes.
I don't know where that stands. I can't say it is bad or it is wrong. But when you have a quote that is like 50 words, now that you have 300 words,
how many
what
words
are we saying?
Is left?
Like...
and the thing is that sometimes people use quotes that are very common, and you're seeing different... I don't know if I can say this, but I've been privileged to sit on the interview panel as alum, right? And I heard of and that's one of the things that I really love about, the people that come for the interviews. You've already screened them out. There's a lot of screening that has gone to that process before the interview. Maybe ahead of the interview stage, we would have a different session. Because that is very important. But what I wanted to say is that sometimes when people send essays to us to help them review and give feedback on, I just realized that I'm reading multiple people's essays, and like 50% of them have used one single quote.
Right. Oh,
and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'm like, especially when it's not the first line, and especially the first line sometimes is that same quote. It feels like it's the same thing. And once you've lost the attention of your reader at the beginning, that's the end.
That's it.
So I think it's very important for people to be aware. If you're going to use any quote, keep it short and simple. If you're going to, you can even paraphrase things. You can make things your words. And that's why we say, even if you're taking something about like study abroad, like you have to defend your the decision to study abroad. Don't just copy from the website and paste. You have to fine tune it. You have to write it in your own words. And another thing I tell people who are getting people, like you said, to review their essays for them is nobody can tell your story like you.
I'm telling you.
Nobody understands your story like you. So you can take advice from people, but reflect on it and then rewrite if you need to. But if you feel confident in what you've written, go for it, because people might be looking at it from a different angle, right? But thank you very much, because you've said excellently. For some scholarships, we also need to be aware that it's based on recommendations. And I think networking is important at those stages. But even beyond that, like I said, good grades are also very important. But also beyond that is understanding how different scholarships differ from one another and giving that application what it needs. So on a final note, I want to ask you, so for those who are applying for scholarship in this period, I'll say this period because I don't know what period people are watching it, but But this period when we are, now, of course, scholarships are opening, new ones are going to be open.
Yeah.
And for those who might not know, second quarter now? Third quarter. Towards the end of the third quarter of the year, to the last quarter of the year, to the first quarter of the year, depending on the kind of scholarships, those are good times to apply. Different applications open at different time. I think Chevening is one of the first that opens, like around August or September. October. Yeah. And then Commonwealth opens much later. Erasmus opens at different times for different programs.
Okay.
So they have different programs for it. And when you're talking about courses as well earlier, and you said it, interest areas or
UK's priorities in Nigeria.
Yes. Yeah. So priority areas. So different institutions have different priority areas as well. Yes. So like Erasmus, for example, have there is a separate one for public policy. There is a separate one for this and that. So and they open at different times. MasterCard, because it's also in alignment or in partnership with different universities. Different universities have different deadlines. So some have October deadline, some have December deadline, some have January deadline. I hope I'm right, but they have different deadline at different times.
I understand.
So, but just on a final note, what would be your advice for those who are either considering applying for scholarships or those who are applying now for a scholarship that is currently open? And feel free to also reflect on to use Chevening, but not just Chevening, maybe.
Okay. So I think for Chevening, I think generally, as we first said, research is very important. But I would say that for Chevening, this year there's been a lot of changes. And I would like to run people through some of those changes because it's very important. So what applied last year might not apply this year. So being up to date with, the new changes that have been made. So for me, I always tell people, go to the Chevening website, sit on the FAQs. I don't know if other scholarships have FAQs, but I'm very certain as well that, if you go through other scholarships websites and, just read through, give yourself some time to say, I really want to digest, what this scholarship is about. I really want to understand what their priorities are. So you are able to ensure that you're linking your priorities, you're linking your course or you're linking your application essay answers, to the priorities. I'm not saying lie. No, I'm not saying, you then study a course that does not even align with what you're doing. But there is a way to, to link these things. So for instance, for UK and Nigeria, economic growth is a really big thing, for us now. The UK is looking for people that will partner with them, in Nigeria. So looking for how to ensure that economic growth, aligns with what you're doing. But that's for Chevening. For other scholarship, do your research as well. Then for Chevening, again, the time frame for application is now 2 months. So for other scholarships as well, ensure that you understand what the deadlines are. Do not wait till the last moment. Then I would say that for Chevening as well, I think we mentioned this, that the number of words is now 300 words, not 500. Then for Chevening as well, the questions are now specific. So remember that during your time, it was just leadership. No question, just leadership. But now, they're like, there's a question, and the question has babies, like A, B, C, D. So you're supposed to, answer that. And I think it's really good because unlike before, you just see leadership and you're like, okay, what type of answer should I give?
I thought that the networking one was usually the hard one to write.
I can imagine. Wow. But now there's specific questions, so that even helps you to give specific answered and tailored answers to what, to what is being asked. I'll say that generally at the moment, especially with, the devaluation of Naira, the way the economy is, and so many other factors, scholarships are very competitive, but they are not impossible. I mean, you're a living testimony that it's possible, right? And there are so many other people that, when you go online, you see how much work they've put into it. So I would say that regardless of any scholarship you want to apply for, prepare your mind, be intentional, give it your best. As I said before, if you feel like you're not ready, give yourself the next 1 year. And I would also say that if you find yourself in a situation where, you're doing a particular job and what you want to study does not even align with what you're doing, the best thing you can do for yourself is try to look for volunteering opportunities. Nigeria, we like free service. So look for organizations that, you can volunteer for. I mean, it would be tasking, right? Working for an organization where you would not be paid. But try to volunteer.
Yeah.
Look for those skills that you need that will help you to align with the type of course that you're looking for. And in the next 1 year, trust me, volunteering, doing community service, because these are some things that Chevening really takes to heart.
Yeah.
So we understand that, life is not exactly straightforward. It's possible you want to study something that does not align with what you're doing. So we're not saying that everything has to be perfect, but in your own way, even though you're not working where you desire to work, in your extracurricular activities, in your time outside work, outside professional setting, how are you developing yourself? And these are the things that we look out for.
Excellent.
And these are the things that can help you stand out. You saying that, professionally, 9 to 5, or you're working in an NGO, these are the things that you do, but you went over, and beyond to develop your skills. So I think that these are the things will help you.
Thank you very much. And that's very well said. And I really appreciate you for giving that summary of, the things that we've talked about before, but also giving that advice on how people can submit a standout application. In my opinion, I would just say, people, please do your research very well. Understand the kind of scholarship that you're applying for. Don't just think that because you've written an essay, you can just use that essay for every scholarship. Ensure that it's tailored. And like Boma said, do not lie, do not exaggerate things beyond what they are. Your story is real, is genuine. Those are the things that you have to bear in mind and ensure that you give it your best shot. You never try, you never know. Thank you very much, Boma.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
It was really fun, right? All right, everybody. That was a very, very fun and very engaging conversation that I've had with Boma Adebowale, the Chevening Program and Communications Officer. And we talked a lot about not only Chevening, but also how you can apply the knowledge and the experience and, the information into other scholarships. There are many different scholarships that are available around the world, to people who are from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, across Africa and beyond, and it's very important for you to do your research, understand the differences between different scholarship organizations and applications. What are the deadlines? What are the key things that you need to know? Understanding the components and what they're looking for. What are the priority areas? But also, when you're writing your story, keep it short and simple. Keep it interesting, engaging, and ensure that you can also attract the emotions of the people reading your essay. I hope that this episode has been informative and insightful for you. If you have learned, I hope you have. We would like to hear from you. Would like you to like, to share, to comment on this episode. But also feel free to let us know what you're thinking. If there is anything you would like us to also delve into, we'd be very happy to take that on. The email is showing on the screen, but it is podcast@tineafrica.com, and would like to hear from you. Till next time when we come again, my name is Louis, and I will see you again. Goodbye.